You know, a lot of you are looking for new deer hunting property, and you know, it doesn't matter if you're leasing property, if you're gonna hunt it by permission, if you're gonna actually buy it. You know, it's funny, there's people out there that are anti-leasing, and you know, I still lease property. We own property too. Leasing's a cheap way to go. Leasing's a poor man's way for someone to have a quality parcel and have exclusive hunting rights to it. So it's funny when people don't like leasing, and most of the time it's because they're hunting those same parcels for free, and then all of a sudden they don't get to hunt them anymore because someone's leasing it out from under them, and it's almost disrespectful to the landowner because they didn't recognize that value, and there's value there. If someone's going to pay $400,000 or $200,000 for a parcel to hunt, then obviously there's value there. And if someone's paying a couple thousand a year to lease it, on this hand over here you have someone paying over $500,000 sometimes to buy land. That's okay, but to pay a couple thousand, $3,000 a year that doesn't even make one payment, you know, that's somehow bad. But you know, that's off on a tangent. The bottom line is a lot of people are looking for land, and there's a list. You know, we have a lot of videos on lists of what to look for, but boy, there's one big thing when it comes to hunting private land and getting your next spot to hunt that I really think is a really important ingredient for you to find on a property. And we're talking about open land. And what I mean by that is, you know, we're using this spot as an example right here. This plot was pretty much as you see it when we bought this land. It's a little over 2 acres. We had a giant pile of logs right here from them clearing. It looked ugly. We had some logs around the corner back here. There's a pond down there that they'd put in for a deer water hole. And with that deer water hole, it was way in the back over there. You couldn't possibly hunt it without spooking every deer on here. Terrible location. We actually have a water hole down there that we've shot bucks on right over here. Really nice spot. But we can get in and out of there without spooking the deer out there. That's some of the strategy. But bottom line is, this used to be where Jim the hermit lived. They call it the hermit plot. We still call it the hermit plot. We call Jim Jim. Everyone else in the area calls Jim the hermit. He actually had a trailer out here. I guess there were all kinds of old cars out here. They cleared it, and it was already cleared. And so when we bought this land, it was very important. In fact, a neighbor around here tried to buy this from us. He contacted me and said, hey, can I buy that 12 acres that includes this land that backs up to his, or this food plot? And like, nope, this is one of the things we wanted. It was already cleared and ready to go. We see so many properties. We, as a group, will see almost 300 properties per year. And one of the biggest challenges that we see landowners face, and it doesn't matter if you're leasing land or looking for a next great spot to hunt, if you don't have cleared land and you can't put food plots in, you can't put switchgrass plantings in, if you don't have cleared areas where you can put trees in, because they all need sun of some kind, then it can be a major expense. And that's a big handicap for people, because people, they buy an 80-acre parcel that's all wooded, and you could easily spend $30,000, $20,000 clearing food plots and openings and making diversity on that parcel. So when it comes to buying property, I'd rather buy 40 acres with 10 acres of ag land than often 80 acres that's all woods that I have to actually clear and spend a lot of time making diverse, and including areas where I could plant food plots, trees, shrubs, screening, whatever I want to actually make the land better. Because let's face it, when you have private land, if you're not planting a food plot, there's so many out there, and there's people who even teach, just plant a bunch of apple trees, just work on the habitat. Well, you can do that, and it's fun. We enjoy doing that. But when you don't plant a food plot on the property, you're not even close to coming into the turning that land into its potential that it has for herd building, for hunting, for your ability to mold and shape a herd, and to actually have your dream hunt on the property. Because let's face it, that's why we're buying hunting land in the first place, is because you want to hunt it. And so if you're already handicapping yourself because you have a lot of clearing to do at tens of thousands of dollars expense, and I'll give you an example. I had a client in northern Michigan, up near Traverse City. It was some brothers, and they had 400 acres right around there. And they put in about 30 acres of food plots, which in that area is a lot of woods. They had to clear it all. They put in miles of trails. And so with all that land clearing they did, and they own a land clearing business, they said that the timber they took off that parcel, the landowner, it was all hardwood, a lot of maple. With that timber that they took off, just in a select cut, that landowner would have gotten about $150,000 in timber off of that batch of timber. Excuse me, 100,000. So it was 100,000 in timber they would have given. So 200,000 total. They would have kept 100,000 as loggers, and then 100,000 to the landowner. The landowner would have had to give them back the 100,000 plus 50 to get all the dirt work done that they had on that property, which was about 25 to 30 acres of food plots and miles of roads cleared. But you kind of get the picture. That's what that land needed for that size. You know, 40 acres, that's a lot less money, obviously. Even if you just look at per acre, that's not always what it works out to. But bottom line is, it can be a giant expense for you. And so then what we see is people don't tap into their potential. They get frustrated with the land. They move on to another piece. They don't enjoy it to the fullest. They stop using it. They end up selling it. We want you to get the most out of your property, attract a deer herd. And I'll tell you, if we didn't have food plots around here, our neighbor right over there, the one after that one, the neighbor over there, would have all the deer. We wouldn't see any deer. We wouldn't have a mock scrape tree like this that we put out, and look at this scrape here. I mean, we have this because we have a whole bunch of bucks that come out into this property. We've enjoyed many hunts out here, shooting nice bucks on this plot. And we have a lot more besides this one. But bottom line is, I'll go through, you know, hunting potential is one thing. You're not gonna even come close. You get private land and you work on the habitat as best you can in almost any circumstance. You're gonna be 3 out of 10 for your potential. The food plots are gonna capture that remaining 6 or 7 out of 10 potential. And if you don't, you're never gonna even come close to your true potential of land as far as herd building and hunting building, and, you know, having that great hunt for you and your family and your friends that you wanted. But outside of that, diversity. If you're in an area where there's not open fields, not open pasture, not open ag land, not idle set aside land, it's probably all timber. If it's all timber, you lack diversity in the area. If you lack diversity in the area, you probably have low deer numbers, because most large wooded areas have low deer numbers. In fact, the land doesn't support a lot of deer, and that's a fact. And so not only do you have a lack of diversity, you don't have quality mix of upland cover, shrubs, lots of different types of habitat, grass areas, different types of timber. A lot of big woods we see are mostly all hardwoods, which is really bad for deer. The higher the timber value, the lower the wildlife value. You want a mix of everything. When you fly over an aerial, when you see lots of colors, when you see lots of tops, small and big mixed in, then you're going to have diversity. You can see that on public land. You can find areas that are all the same color, same size tops. You can find areas that are broken. Those areas that are broken, you're going to find the most diversity, and you're going to find the best deer herds. And not just deer, you're going to find the most wildlife potential too. So it's not just about the deer. Deer is where the bullseye is, but if you have great whitetail habitat, you're going to have great small game habitat too. So diversity is one thing, and that diversity will lead to a better deer herd, a bigger deer herd. So that quality deer herd is really critical. And then finally, soils. If you have open land, if you have areas where you don't have a lot of trees, a lot of timber, just solid timber, typically you're going to find mixed open ground that potentially, whether it's pasture or ag land, has good soils. And when you have good soils, your input costs for food plots are going to be much lower. Whether it's lime, I spent 65 tons of lime, spent years putting out 65 tons of lime, all 50-pound bags in the UP of Michigan on my 8 acres of plots over a 10-year period. And it was a lot of work, and that was mostly me getting the lime 45 miles from the house, bringing it back, putting it out. And it's because the soils were so bad. High 4s, low 5s. The nutrient levels, the parts per million were all horrible, horrible. We increased those sometimes 100 times what they were to begin with the initial soil test, but it took years and a lot of work and a lot of dedication. And I look back and, man, I'm stubborn. That's what it's about. I'm a stubborn person. So input costs, soil, diversity, better herds, That's why when you buy land, when you lease land, when you find your next land to hunt on, because let's face it, even if you're just hunting on it and you want to do a good job and you have that time to do so, your input costs, your cost for food plots, your cost for planting, the switchgrass that we have up there is going to be much, much lower. So everything goes hand in hand to make your land and your hunt and your herd better when you're buying, finding property to lease, rent, or borrow to actually hunt if there's already openings. And when you talk about openings, it wouldn't matter if it's 100 acres to me and only had 30 acres of woods. All those openings are just, I'm a kid in a candy store. Now we can plant, we can design it. And let's face it, we have switchgrass. You can see that wall of switchgrass right up there against the field. That blocks off everything when we're walking, driving behind that. And we have switchgrass rimming around this entire food plot right here. Switchgrass promotes pheasant habitat in those long lines. And then we make rabbit cuttings. We have rabbit cuttings in our bedding areas over on this side of the food plot over here. So it all works together. But even the switchgrass, getting that switchgrass in, if it's already open, you need to have sun. We've planted lots of trees out here, the trees and shrubs from big rock trees. We've planted them all over the property. Because we can get full sun to it, then we have a lot of success, and it makes it a lot cheaper for us. We're not clearing land first. We don't have a lot to do. I could care less if there's a bunch of weeds on it. We'll take care of that in no time. So consider that when you're looking for land this year. Really look for a land or parcel, your next great hunting spot, to include openings, natural openings. You know, out there, 50 acres with 10 acres of ag. I'm going to take that ag and I'd rather see someone buy 50 acres, 10 acres of ag, and be able to convert that 10 acres into what you want, because that'll be a good percentage. That'd be a great help for you. Then buy 100 acres, your finances are stretched. There's 30 acres of ag that you can't touch. You have to let the rent come in for that and keep it in ag land. And then all of a sudden you have the rest in woods you can't really do much with unless you go in. People are literally doing that we see clients, and Dylan, you've probably seen that too, where someone will buy land, they have 30 acres of ag, and they're bulldozing portions of the woods out to plant food plots because they don't want to touch the ag land, because they need that rent coming in to help pay for the land that they bought. They're better off buying a parcel half the size and being able to use and appreciate and actually create your potential on the land with that opening that's already there, and take advantage of that. So when you're looking for land, consider that on your next purchase. It's very, very important. I'm not saying the habitat overall is not important, but that diversity that comes in the areas that already have natural openings will lead you to success. The size of the deer herd, the soils will make it a lot cheaper for you, let alone your input costs, even getting into those. You can count, we have some really good people that open up land. Jared Wagner from around here, Brandon from First Choice Food Plots, are people we both work with. Jared's more local here, he stays close. Brandon covers a lot of states. We have some really good people that can help you out. And I'm not trying to take work away from, but boy, when it's already clear, it's a huge help. Consider that for your next great deer hunting parcel this season. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. You're our best followers. You followed all the way to the end of the video. Really invite you to check out our website. We have our earthway spreaders for sale, great Christmas presents. We're booking clients right now, all 5 of us. So by the end of December, it seems early, but by the end of December, our schedule will be booked for 2025. It's hard to believe. I'm already booked for December and most of January, February. We have our web classes, the rut web class, how to design your whitetail property, and really important, hunting hills and thermals, understanding the wind. Those are great products on our site, all the books. Thank you so much for watching all the videos, buying the seed that you did this year. Really appreciate you.